Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 52 of Beneath Vancouver Radio. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful day. We're back with another episode here, and my special guest for today is Tiffany from Tiffany Sham Designs. Tiffany, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. It's not raining here in Vancouver, so that's always a plus, especially during these like April, May months. So we take those as people say, but thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come out on the podcast. Full disclaimer as well for the listeners. I've actually known Tiffany for a while now, like very long time. We went to the same high school together. So I don't even know. That's like almost 10 plus years now. But she's been doing some amazing things, and I've been keeping an eye on her work and her growth so far with her artistic skills that I definitely not, and even if I probably had a genie, I would not achieve at all in my wildest dreams, because I am not artistically gifted in that sense. So definitely jealous when it comes to people and their amazing drawings. But without further ado, let's kind of jump right into it, and you can kind of talk a little bit more about, who you are, Tiffany, and what you do. But as I start every episode here is, Tiffany, who are you today?
I think I'll just give a little bit of an introduction of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a art account called Tiffany Sham Designs. And over the summer of last year, it started into a small business where I make hand-drawn and hand-painted tote bags. And that's kind of how it started. And I'm planning to do a lot more things, including launching a line of apparel soon. And so I've just been busy planning that. And then to answer the question of who I am today, so when I had this question, I was thinking back on who I wanted to be maybe like 5 or 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and just reflecting on that. And I'm proud of who I am now, and for reaching those goals that I had. And this included getting into business school, studying marketing, which was like the only thing I ever wanted to do. Yeah. And also, I wanted to turn my hobby into some sort of small business. And it just kind of happened. And I'm just so happy that it did. It was just it always had been a dream of mine. And it wasn't very intentional. But I'm really glad it happened this way. And I created this platform, and I'm so happy to continue growing it. And otherwise, yeah, I've just been loving marketing as well, getting that work experience. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've reached a lot of my goals, and it's hard sometimes to stop and like take a look back at what you've done. But I think everyone should be really proud of who they've become. And I have so many more goals and so many things I wanted to improve in the future. So I'm always working towards that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Those baby steps and being able to reflect back on those wins, right? And being able to see. So let's go back a little bit, I guess. And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny that you mentioned it. I completely forgot, actually, because you transferred into business school because you were studying something originally first when you went to university. So you said you've always wanted to kind of do marketing and stuff like that. So what was that kind of process of switching kind of majors and in that changing kind of your studies? What was that like for you within those couple of years of university?
Yeah, so I think unlike a lot of people, I kind of always knew that I wanted to do marketing, and like I know it's gonna be, it might change a bit in the future, but it's kind of my passion.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when I entered university, I didn't get into the business program at first, and I was studying economics, but I like had faith and I had confidence that I would still be able to get in the program and somehow get my marketing experience or get my education. Sorry, to get well, I would somehow end up on this marketing path that I've always wanted to go to. And so I just worked really hard in first year, and I saw marketing as my end goal.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I got into business school in second year, I think it was kind of a harder start just to adjust to the way business school is and how the people are. And so I think it was really fun, though. It was really fun finally getting into the program that I really wanted. And I'm really happy that it turned out this way.
Yeah. No, it's like the reward of knowing that your hard work. And it's funny that, my first year was definitely not very high grades or anything like that. So it's definitely a big transition going from, high school to university, and being able to buckle down and work hard is definitely something to be proud of. But so you're in business school now, and you're studying what you want to study, and you're passionate about it. What kind of led you to, I guess, quote unquote, look at more of your creative side? Is that something always been a big part of your life, drawing and stuff like that? Or was that something that you kind of learned throughout your time at university?
Yeah, so ever since I was young, I love drawing. I love art. I took art lessons on and off, and I learned some basic skills like sketching and like watercolor paint and anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was younger, I actually did a lot more art spontaneously, and because I had a lot more free time too. But once I started going to university, there was just no time at all, and I was really sad that this creative side was kind of slipping away from me. I originally wanted to do marketing because of all the creativity, and I thought that I could express a lot more creativity, but just school and life and extracurriculars and work just sucked up all my time. And so I didn't have that much time to be creative and do art that I love. And
Mm-hmm.
so even as I got deeper into marketing and realized that it's not always about being creative and artistic, there's a lot more analytical parts to marketing as well. But then because of the pandemic, really, because of COVID, I had so much more time on my hands. And so I started creating again. And because I posted my creations, a lot of people were interested. And that's kind of how it started. A lot of people wanted their designs on totes. And so I was like, okay, I'll make it for a few people. I
Mm-hmm.
started posting more and more, and a lot more people started reaching out to me. And I'm so glad that this kind of forces me to be creative and kind of forces me to still do art and make time for it and prioritize it. And because I definitely did not prioritize art in my early years of university.
Yeah. Quick
Mm-hmm.
question. If someone were to ask you, like, you're only doing one type like of, or working in one inside of marketing, let's say more the creative side and the brand strategy and stuff like that, or more on the analytical side, obviously without a bias or certain, which one would you like prefer to work in, like, for the rest of your life if you had that opportunity? Like if you were forced to only work in one section of marketing.
Um, I don't know if this answer is surprising, but I like working more in the strategy side,
Mm-hmm.
just because I feel like it's very satisfying seeing your campaigns or anything come to life and be successful, and understanding how consumers think. And that's the kind of side of marketing I really like.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of more artsy and creative side, I feel like it's kind of harder because sometimes if you don't have the artistic inspiration or like don't have the idea, you can't really force it. I feel like
Yeah.
it's a timely process where you suddenly get inspiration and then you can figure out this whole masterpiece. But I feel like with strategy, you're able to, pound it out if you really need to, brainstorm. It's just a much easier process than waiting for that creative inspiration. But ideally, of course, having a bit of both would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think dabbling in both worlds, me personally, it's more on like the creating the content and less on like the analytics and, all that data and stuff like things. But I just recently started learning a little bit more of that. I'm like, wow, this is actually kind of neat. And almost, if you will, nerdy, if you want to go that route. But it's actually really interesting, like that data and all the data that you're collecting and getting from different sources, and you're making decisions based off that data. And as you mentioned, that kind of reward of, you're making these decisions, are they working? Is there ROI on that? And all that other jargon that we can probably go on and talk about for hours, but that's not it's not a marketing podcast by any means. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of switch gears here a little bit and talk more about kind of you mentioned you started kind of during the pandemic, and due to COVID, obviously a little bit more time on your hands and stuff like that. But, a lot of people had time on their hands, right? And a lot of things started kind of turning 180. And what made you kind of go towards drawing or more on the artistic side as a way to kind of spend the time instead of maybe doing other things that you could have been doing? Why focus on that, and why try to grow that?
So I guess it just kind of came naturally. I knew that whenever, like, if there was ever a chance that I had a lot of time on my hands, of course I would go back into art. I don't want to just lose the artistic skills that I have and like have them go to waste. And so it just happened because I had a tote bag that I wanted to draw on and like sport my own design. I just drew it. I posted about it. A lot of my friends asked about it. And then I saw this as an opportunity to do something productive with my time. Yeah, I think productivity is like a really big thing for me. I always want to be doing something. I want to always be building something and improving. And so that's kind of why I began to grow it as a business. And also, you were talking about content creation, and I think you're so right. It's so fun, even just managing our Instagram account and being able to produce your own content, have people like it. In a way, I'm also marketing my own art account as well, and my own products and my own business. And so it's such a great combination of the things that I love. And yeah, art will always be in my life somehow in some way. And the small businesses just has been a great outlet for that.
Yeah. A rapid fire question for our video viewers right now. That painting right behind you, did you draw that?
No, but this is one of my biggest inspirations. She's an artist. She has a very minimalist style. And so I've always loved her art. And some of my art also takes on this kind of style, which is line drawing and black and white. And so I take a lot of inspiration from her. And this is one of my favorite paintings from her.
No, that it looks beautiful. I like it too. And those who are only listening on audio, that's why you also should watch the YouTube version, so you get the full exclusive insight in case I referred to someone in our guest's background. But no, yeah, and I guess as well, like you're talking about, you know, marketing your platform and marketing yourself and who you are as an individual and your brand, so to speak. A question that I guess a lot of our listeners might be thinking of, like, oh, Tiffany, like anything that you learned from school, have you, like, in what way have you applied it to kind of your business right now? Has there been any kind of insights, or I don't want to say specific overlap, but any like things that you've learned that you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I can actually start applying these skills in the real world?
I think I have to say that a lot of the knowledge that I use and what I know is from actually work experience, because I mean, you learn all the basics and foundations in school, but like once you're in the workplace, you're learning a lot more about digital marketing, which is probably the most relevant in this case. And so in terms of Instagram, there's just so many different things I had to research myself as well. And the things that I learned from work, you know, understanding the insights, knowing when to post. The first hour after you post, you're engaging with your followers so that it shows up more on the feed. And even with the Instagram algorithm, there's so many different, they're always changing. There's always so many different things that you should be doing to like get your post out there, get that engagement. And so I think a lot of things just came from work experience, just researching myself, testing different things, looking at other content creators and seeing what they do and see what they did that led them to success. So a lot of researching on my own, taking things from what I learned in my past internships and co-ops, and then looking on to other successful figures and seeing what they do.
Right. No, yeah. And I think you mentioned as well, like digital marketing, and that's obviously constantly evolving. Like 2 years ago, no one would have thought TikTok would have been the giant that it is today, right? Well, maybe some people have, and if they did, they caught the train early and are probably riding that wave right now. But it's all about these different things that are being involved within the space. And obviously we're both content creators, but we're also consumers, right? And as consumers, we also have to be diligent. We kind of wear like the two hats, so to speak, of like, let's see what this content is about. Why is it performing better? Can I implement some sort of strategy or you know, whatever into the stuff that I create now for my own stuff? So I totally agree as well in that aspect. Favorite platform to use, like Instagram, TikTok? Favorite social platform?
Okay. I do not have TikTok, but I can see what it can do, and I'm interested
you don't have TikTok?
in that. I don't have TikTok, no. But people blow up on there, so get TikTok if you're trying to blow up.
I was gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just use Instagram now.
Okay, I saw that you posted a reel though, and I know, you know, without getting too into again like the more of the marketing side of things, reels right now on Instagram are really great organic reach, from what I've seen as well. So it's good that you're utilizing that.
Yeah, they're like in competition with TikTok, of course. So even if you post a reel, it'll just like the views go crazy at first, and I can see the engagement like being continuous on my most recent reel, and I think it's trying to take on TikTok, you know. And it's great. It's good engagement. I mean, I think when I scroll through my feed, I see a video. It's much more interesting than just seeing a photo with a caption. Yeah.
100%. Did you enjoy kind of making that content, that style of content, more kind of video-esque? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the reel that you did was kind of like a mini day in the life kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes it's more difficult just because I don't do a lot of video editing or whatever, but it's much more fun to make, and it didn't feel like work, or it didn't feel like it was forced or anything. Yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of I don't know what you use to edit the videos or anything like that, but if anyone's interested in like just using phone, I know InShot is a good one. Splice, I believe, is another one. I'm sure there's plenty of other app editors out there that are simple to use and stuff like that, just to make cute little videos. But Yeah, it's just trial and error, right? That's really what it boils down to. Testing out different things. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you also have to obviously enjoy it as well. You can't be just putting out the content and you're absolutely hating yourself. You're like, I don't want to be doing this right now. It's not going to bode well for anyone, both yourself and your audience. So it's important to stay true to what you're doing it and why. So I guess the question that a lot of times I ask, especially when it comes to, small business owners and stuff like that, is like, what's been kind of your biggest obstacle so far when it comes to growing your business, whether that be like acquiring new customers or growing your social channels, anything that comes to mind? Because you said last summer, right? So it hasn't even been a full year yet. So what's been kind of the biggest obstacles you've come through so far?
So I think two kind of things is consistency and time.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm a person that has so many ideas. I want to act on all of them, but being able to,
blessing and a curse.
Yeah, blessing and a curse. Lots of ideas, and I'm super excited at first. But being able to be in it for the long haul and consistently putting in work, which is why I really admire your Beneath Vancouver too, because you have been doing this for so long, and I feel like you've been putting in a lot of work and it's very consistent. So I'd really admire that.
Thank you. Didn't pay her to say that, by the way.
So yeah, that's kind of one of the things. And just always coming up with new ideas to engage with your followers. Another thing is that time was a big thing. I think when I was working, I actually had a lot more time to grow the channel. And that's kind of where I had the most growth, because I had a lot of time to complete orders, create more engaging content, think of new ways to reach the audience and grow the audience. There's so much more things in PR that I could do to grow the channel, I know, but because of my busy schedule last term with school and kind of finishing off with everything, I just didn't have time. And also I spoke a little bit about this on my recent post, but I did get burnt out, and I just for a while, I just didn't even want to do anything. I didn't want to do anything with a small business for a while, because I just didn't have the inspiration. I felt like I was, instead of doing this out of a hobby or being happy in doing this, I felt like it was work. And that was when I knew I needed to pause. I needed to have time to take a break from it and come back with it with fresh eyes and with a fresh vision of how I wanted to go.
Yeah, no, burnout is very real. And, it comes in various, forms, I guess you could say. For a lot of the times, the other people who are consuming the content, they think oh, well, they're just doing it, they're doing your case, they're drawing these beautiful things on tote bags and et cetera, et cetera. In my case, oh, all he's doing is sitting on his chair and creating podcasts and stuff like that. And all these other things as well. But behind the scenes, there's so many moving pieces and so many things that go alongside that stuff. So, and it gets overwhelming, especially as you said, if you're as a student, I've been there, done that. It can get kind of, and get not fun sometimes. And you're thinking to yourself, I'm not enjoying it anymore. That's exactly as you said, that's the moment to kind of take a step back and reflect and really think of your why. I know we've mentioned this a couple of times on the podcast now, understanding your why and why you're doing certain things. But, burnout is very real, and it's something to not be ashamed of, I think, as well. You're always, as entrepreneurs or as people who want to create ideas and have a bajillion ideas going on at once, you always want to go. But it's not sustainable. That's the reality of it. So,
and I think just going back to my why was kind of what brought me back, and from my break and kind of go back happy and refreshed, was because I realized that what makes me the most happy about doing this is seeing people wear my designs. I'm
right.
If I'm ever walking out and I see even my friend carrying the tote bag that I made for them, I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I do a couple of tattoo designs, and the fact that people trust me enough to design something for them that's going to stay on their body forever, that's still mind blowing to me, even though I've done a couple of designs now. But I think that's just the most rewarding part, is people genuinely loving what you've created for them, and they're wearing it in their everyday life, and even seeing it just makes me happy. And I remember that's what I'm doing this for, and so that's what I'm going to continue to do after I take my break, and that's my why.
No, and it's super important. That's what it boils down to, is your why 100%. But You've mentioned before we started recording that, you've just finished up university. Again, huge congrats to you on that. Round of applause, everyone. Yay. But so what's kind of next for not only, Tiffany Sham Designs, but for Tiffany as an individual? What are kind of the next steps for the next couple of months moving into the summer, and then probably it's for the rest of 2021?
Yeah, so of course, the first thing is getting a full-time job. I'm not in a hurry, but I have been doing applications, doing interviews, and kind of gauging what kind of company I want to work in. And I think one of my goals is also to move away to work for a while. I think I'm kind of close to that. Yes, Toronto. I'm kind of close. I don't want to like say anything and jinx it, but hopefully I will be there soon.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. And in terms of Tiffany Sham Designs, as I mentioned before, I really do want to launch an apparel line. I want to keep it simple, close to my style, something Asian inspired, I think, and the minimalist, look. And so I'm really excited for that since I have a lot more time now. Also coming up with new strategies to grow my channel. I know there's a lot of potential there, and so that's what I'm going to do. And then in terms of just personal growth, I've been working really hard to focus more on myself and self-awareness, and focusing more on internal growth rather than external, because for so long before the pandemic, we've just been going. Right. There's just been no stopping. I was so focused on external accomplishments, getting a job, getting that internship, accomplishments at school. And so I felt like I didn't prioritize my personal growth. And so I've been working a lot on that, journaling, meditation, all of that, even keeping up with health and stuff. And that's something I'm going to continue doing. And it's grown into a very good routine. And so I'm planning to keep up with that. Also, I'm going to plan a bunch of adventures for the summer, a lot of camping and outdoor stuff, and take advantage of what we can do even in this pandemic before, I'm going to be doing full-time work. Yeah.
No, and I like how you mentioned like all of these different aspects of what is important in your life. And I think sometimes, again, as a listener to either this podcast or someone who consumes content in general, you see like these content creators or whomever, and you just see like the ups and of the highlights really of their life. But in reality, like there's so many things, again, that go behind the scenes when it comes to sustaining a quote unquote this lifestyle, I guess, if you want to go that far. But if you don't mind, because I know for a lot of the listeners as well, like they're mostly students, recent grads, kind of young adults, if you will. And for me personally, a big kind of growth in the last, I guess, year, really when this pandemic hit to now, has also been personal health and like personal awareness and self-awareness. And I've journaled as well. I keep my little journal to the right here, and I do like affirmations and all that kind of stuff. And it's been really, it's been a wonderful experience. And I highly recommend that to anyone who just wants to feel like a little bit closer to themselves. Really, that's what it boils down to. Again, I'm not an expert by this in any means. There's more experienced people that you can probably listen to or watch to and get advice on. But I'm curious too, as a recent grad yourself, what's been kind of like a routine that's worked for you, or any advice that you would share to a student who's potentially in similar shoes where you were this last semester, who's got a full class schedule, wants to grow something on the side? What's been some kind of stuff that has worked for you?
So I always start off my day with a 10 to 15 minute meditation, and it's all about consistency. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I never really implemented into my life. But at the start of this year, I knew that it would be good for me. And so I was, I persevered. I made sure I did it every day. And so having that 5 to 10 minutes, even though you don't feel like it helps sometimes, it really does. Like we are always on the go every single day. And our minds are always like running, and we never take the time actually to, even for 5 to 10 minutes of just completely thinking about nothing, or like relaxing, or even taking that 5 to 10 minutes, like you said, stating your affirmations and just thinking about things that you haven't had the time to think about even. And so having that to set the tone for the day has been so helpful. Even having positive affirmations in the day, I feel great throughout the day. And so that's a great first thing to do in the morning. Yeah. And then I do my workout in the morning, because it helps wake me up, keeps me energized, and I feel sluggish if I don't move in the morning. So this also really helps with having a routine in your life. I feel like because of the pandemic, everything kind of blurs together, like your work, your play, everything blurs together. Sometimes it's hard to have that structure in your life. And so doing these two things in the morning at least really helps me like set the tone for the day, have some structure in it. And then in the morning, I just do some of my admin work and, you know, replying emails, anything I had to plan out for the rest of the day, even some light work. And then after lunch is kind of where I do more of the harder stuff, like the big stuff that I plan for that day. And of course, I have like a weekly planner that with a to-do list of all the things I want to do. And I try to section out my days as well, just to make sure that I get the things I want to get done. And then in terms of running the small business, it's just a lot of planning on the side. Even with every post, you might think that, oh, we just like post and write a caption spontaneously, which yeah, sometimes yes, but of course you gotta plan it out, make sure it all looks nice eventually. You know, you wanna write something meaningful in your captions or make sure that all your content is still meaningful. And so there's a lot of preparation and planning that goes behind the scenes. But I think for me, I find it kind of relaxing sometimes. So that kind of goes at the end of my day. And so if you're, you know, a busy student, I would also be doing all my schoolwork and all my busy stuff during the day. And maybe when I'm winding down is when I plan out my posts and just think of all these strategies. But otherwise, since I have so much time now, I would be doing a lot of the strategy stuff in my afternoon time. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like now that you have more time on your hands, it kind of feels, because I know it felt weird for me, especially again, because when I graduated last year, it was kind of like, again, similar experience to you. Graduated from my from the desk that I'm in front of right now, in the middle of on a Wednesday, that meme that Tiffany brought up prior to recording. But for me, it was super weird because I went from like, you know, go 4 or 5 classes, you know, a semester to okay, now what kind of thing, right? Has it felt weird for you these last couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think because I basically finished last week with all the work, like the school stuff. And so I truly felt graduated and done. And so the first day on Monday, I was just like, now what?
Now what?
It's kind of scary. Like it's scary, but it's exciting because you can plan what you want to do now. And originally, if I was in first year, I would have thought that, you know, I would be done school and I would be going to a full-time job straight away. And if I didn't, I would have been panicking. But now that I'm not under the pressure of, you know, everyone else at school and hearing about their success and kind of comparing myself with them, I feel like I have so much freedom to plan what I want to do now, and I could do anything I want. And it's scary, but it's exciting. And so to kind of manage the scary side of it, you know, I plan my days and make sure that I'm not wasting time and make sure I'm being productive and achieving the things that I want to do in this time. Because yes, I'm taking a break. Yes, I have all this time to do whatever I want, but of course I still want it to be productive. And so, you know, planning my days makes the scary part smaller and the exciting part a lot bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Routine is super important. And I know for a fact, once I started implementing routine, again, consistently as well, which is another part of the equation, everything kind of just changes because you know kind of what you're setting yourself up for. And for me personally, I don't know about you, but I sometimes have like a little to-do list and just the feeling, the dopamine hit of just going, just crossing off that thing or like, doing a little check mark.
Drink water. Yes, I did that.
Exactly. Right. It's just a mental thing that really pushes you and keeps you motivated and productive for the list of things that you might have to do during that day or during that week. So I can definitely relate. And again, it doesn't even necessarily have to be for you know, someone who owns a business or whatever, even for like someone as simple as like or not simple, but something as being a student and writing down a to-do list and keeping a routine for that. I know plenty of people within especially this pandemic who are taking online schooling or were taking online schooling had to create a routine for themselves because, you know, you're not being forced to go to campus. You're not, you know, interacting in class and stuff like that. You're unfortunately just stuck in your own home. So the dangers of that are very high when it comes to not being productive and not doing much work. So keeping a routine. Sorry, go ahead.
And if you are a very hard worker, like you got to remember to take breaks. I think in my first few years of university, I was just always working. I was like working up until like 11 or 12 a.m. And like, that's not being productive.
That's not
being, that's not what a hard worker is. Like, I just did not take breaks and I didn't understand the importance of it. And so like the first times that I was like taking a break and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop working at 9. And I was like, this feels so weird. I feel bad that I wasn't working hard, but you really do need that. And you realize that you become more productive when you're taking those breaks. And that's just like huge thing that I want to let people know, because I was in your shoes too.
Yeah.
You hard workers, but that's not what a hard worker means.
Work smarter, not harder, right? That's what the
Exactly.
saying goes. And for those who are interested to learning more a little bit about that, I read this book I think last summer, if not 2 summers ago, called Deep Work. I don't know if you've heard about it. Have you heard of the book before?
I've heard about the book.
Yeah.
One on my list, you know.
Yeah, Cal Newport, Deep Work, really great read. And it's not so much on it's a little bit related to the work smarter, not harder, but it emphasizes more on really getting to your flow state, right? In terms of not being distracted. And, we have our phones and can easily get, you see that notification. I got to check it. Right. So for me, it's helped out a lot in regards of constructing that and figuring out how you can get into those deep flow states. And as Tiffany had mentioned, getting the big chunks of work done and being able to check that off your list is super important. So another good read. I've started to become a little bit of a reader during this pandemic. I don't know about you, but
that's also one of my goals. Like, yeah, I didn't mention, but that's what I'm going to do with my time now. Like, there's so many books on my list that I want to get through. So
yeah, exactly. That. Yeah. I never thought I would become a reader for sure, especially after you graduate. You're like the least thing you'd expect, right? You start reading, but you'd be surprised when it's stuff about that are, a little bit more interesting and stuff that I can apply to my life right away. It's you can kind of get lost in those books, but well, I think in general, the conversation obviously has been great. Tiffany, thank you again. And we're unfortunately near the end of the episode now. But before we head out here, I do want to ask you the question of, and to wrap up the episode here of, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self? And I'm also going to give a little bit of a curveball here. What piece of advice would you give to, someone who is in their last year of university? A little bit of a double whammy.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with like the piece of advice I would give to myself, which is I would tell myself that you're the shit. Okay. Like,
yes, that's what I like to hear.
You're the boss bitch you've always wanted to be. You are the person that, like, you could be the person that you've always wanted to be. Because for the longest time, I feel like on the outside, like, people would still get the impression that I'm really confident and like I knew what I was doing. I had plans and everything. But I felt like I was still being held down by what I thought people would think about me and the perceptions of me, which so many of the times weren't even true. So for example, like, I would wish that, I wish I would be stronger, like more confident and more proactive. And then one day someone told me, like, why aren't you those things? Who told you that you're not those things? And that kind of switched something in my head. And I was like, you're right. Like, who told me that? No one told me that. I was telling myself that. And so from then on, I just consciously decided that I can be whoever I want to be.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's much harder just to like actually feel that way instead of just telling yourself that, but consciously working towards it. Sometimes it takes a lot more steps and a lot more work, but it's very empowering. And yeah, you can be whoever you want to be.
That's exactly. Put that in as a painting right behind you, a Tiffany Sham quote right there. You can be who you want to be.
You're a boss bitch. You can be whoever you want to be.
Exactly. No, that's super important. I like that.
And I guess for new grads, think about what you really want to do. Think about you don't even have to think about like long term, because I feel like so many people end up switching their careers or switching their interests, but having initial plan, initial vision, and initial dream of what you want to do is so important. I feel like this is, if not now, then when? Like, you don't have any other time to figure out your dreams and really act on them. If you're gonna end up in a full-time job that you're gonna be working at 10 years, like, you're not gonna be able to do that. So take that time now, figure out if you do want to act on your dream, because you should, and do it.
I like that. No, it's true. It really is. Like, I mean, I studied kinesiology. I'm in marketing, right? So things change. Yeah. So and we're all young, like, recent grads, early 20s, like, the whole notion of you're supposed to have your life figured out by now is not really realistic, in my opinion. I know some people do have their life figured out in their early 20s, if not even younger, but I think for the average student, it might not be the case. So take your time, try different things, and yeah, do what you love, and you can do it. You're the shit, as Tiffany
exactly.
said. So
that's how we'll end off.
And that's a great way to end off. Thank you again, Tiffany, for coming on the podcast. Where can people find you? Where can they find your work if they want to connect with you, or if they want some of your wonderful designs?
Right now, I'm most active on Instagram, which is Tiffany Sham Designs. And I possibly will be working on a website. I also have an Etsy, but there's nothing on there right now,
Okay.
which is also Tiffany Sham Designs. But find me on Instagram.
Sounds good.
And thank you so much for having me and talking with me.
No worries. Thank you for sharing your story and for coming on the podcast. I'll make sure to have your channels and everything in the show description and also in the YouTube description down below. And thank you to all of our viewers and our listeners as well. I know 52 episodes in the year of 2021 is still a possibility, an episode a week. We're getting there, and then burnout hits. So, I could totally relate with that. Consistently every week can be a bit of a struggle, but we're bouncing back here a little bit in the month of May. And yeah, I just love chatting with people, and I enjoyed sharing your story, Tiffany. Thank you again. Thank you to all of our listeners. This one was episode number 52 of Beneath Vancouver Radio. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It does help me out a little bit. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.
Right.
Bye.